You know, Susan, we have teachers for a lot of reasons. But for instance, here we are this evening together in one of the most pure, intimate experiences that a human being can possibly have. I say pure because difficult to complicate it with, you know, other secondary agendas. And that, you know, I was talking earlier with Margaret, and I said, this isn't always true, but for a lot of us, basically, we come into this world, get shit on by our parents, maybe that's a little bit of an overstatement, but just go with me, and then we spend the rest of our lives, you know, digging ourselves out of it. And for so many people, you know, I mean, I sit here and talk about love every night. You know, it's difficult to know what love is. And especially if your parents have struggled, and their parents have struggled, and their parents have struggled. You know, there is often not a lot of love available for us to really understand from our parents what love is. And so we sit in an experience like this, and really if I were going to, you know, it's Kundalini Yoga. But the fact of the matter is, you know, and I'm thinking of redoing the whole way I teach this because, you know, it's so simple. And all you really need to do is sit there and feel in yourself and try to feel a little bit of love in yourself and put it in motion. And the reason I teach you the breath is to hold your mind in a singular space while you are excavating that depth of contact within yourself. And the reason I talk about chakras and channels is because if you pay attention to your breath, which is a good thing, while you are breathing it and trying to make a deeper contact with yourself, what you will discover is there are particular places in you where if you take your attention to them, your experience will be definitely stronger. And then you will move on in that to discover that, in time you might discover that there is a very complex and sophisticated set of energetic systems which have become you. And paying attention to that energetic system, what you will come to understand is that the only constant in life is change. And that change is expressed as flow. And the flow in you, you know, is a part of a bigger flow around you, which is a part of still a bigger flow, which exists on a cosmic scale. The universe is in us. We are in the universe. And the essence of it all is, you know, and you'll have to like think about the word because I'm going to say the essence of it all is love. And, you know, I don't mean the kind of love that they're singing about on the rock and roll radio. Although that's not excluded. But it's bigger than that, much bigger than that. So, teacher, where are you going to find people who have dedicated their lives and worked their ass off to excavate themselves from the mountain of doo-doo that their parents imparted to them, to become a deeply loving person on a scale that is difficult for our mind to imagine. Where are you going to find that? Well, it's not very common. And finding that, you have the possibility of connecting in a dynamic system which will begin to, well, the simplest thing is, you know, there was that wonderful song by Joni Mitchell, which goes something like, all I really, really want our love to do is to bring out the best in me and in you too. I mean, okay, that's pretty dumb in a way. I like it. It's lovely, but that sounds ordinary. But in fact, when you have genuinely loving people in your life who are trying to be the best they can, that also creates the context, the environment, the understanding that allows you to bring out the best in yourself. And you know, especially in America, where every damn thing that's happening increasingly becomes all about money and not about caring. It's a rare thing. So how do you use a teacher? I mean, I think the simplest thing is to hold that person, which is really not a thing but a process. You know, people aren't things, people are processes. You're not a thing. Your body is not a thing. Your body will not be tomorrow what it was yesterday. It is a process. Hold the awareness of that process in your heart and mind, and allow that connection to bring it, to remind you and to energize you at times to bring out the best in you too. You know, I'm not much for giving do's and don'ts to people because, well, there are a couple reasons. The reason I don't really focus on do's and don'ts is because, first of all, nobody's ever paid attention to me when I tried. So I gave that up about 25 years ago. But I thought it was a reasonable thing to give up because the truth is, you know, I struggled with the do's and don'ts myself. And I have come to understand that do's and don'ts are really only suggestions, and that most of us have, you know, a deep need to put ourselves in shit up to our eyebrows from time to time, and it's okay. You either will survive it or you won't, and in either case, it's fine. I don't pay attention to do's and don'ts too much either because, you know, in this experience of growing, we're going to awaken places in ourselves that we've never experienced. We're going to have experiences that there's no model for, and we're going to go places we never even imagined existed. And so in that process, we will definitely make mistakes. And mistakes are fine. And mistakes are easily overcomable if we can return to that best place in ourselves and open our hearts again. And if somebody was offended, we say, I'm sorry. It's that easy. Our connections, this extraordinary love that is available from within us is amazingly resilient. It is at times and at its boundaries delicate and fragile and requires some care, but it is astonishingly resilient. It's life. So I think if you have a teacher, hold that teacher in your heart and mind and feel that presence in that process and flow in it. You know, that's a complicated way of saying, love me and I'll love you back. But I said it in a complicated way because if I just say it so simple like that, then people will think this is something that isn't profound. It's difficult to appreciate the profundity of, the opportunity to hold a real connection in unconditional love. And of course, as Americans who are increasingly commercialized, our whole culture is like commercial. I think about when I was growing up. My dad ran a drugstore. We used to have squirrels and fish and rabbits, and even once we had raccoon. We had turtle, because my dad would take food from people who couldn't afford their meds. If they couldn't afford their prescription, my dad would take a handful of squirrels from them, pay for it himself. His friend was our MD who used to come to the house when I had pneumonia, which was, as you know, was just about every year. He'd come to the house. He didn't charge my dad anything. Think that ever happens in this world that we live in now? I really don't think so. First of all, if you put squirrel on a plate in front of most people, they go, ew. But, so, there's all this push to monetize our relationships. And one of the things that I have just been so obnoxiously obstreperous about is not monetizing my relationships with anybody, ever. I'm sure I've been teaching long enough that I could be a popular person. I could have been at some point a popular person if I had monetized my relationships and become commercial. But that has nothing to do with anything. So the opportunity to rise above, still you're going to be connected with people and you're going to practice and you're going to grow yourself and you're going to develop relationships with people who in the end, think they deserve something other than love from you, and they're going to want to try to get it. And if they don't, then they'll be mad and say mean things about you. But that's life. And we should not allow ourselves to be diminished and, descend to the lowest common denominator of human beings, which is ego and tension. Having a teacher is about love. It's not about anything else. And if you can find that love in yourself and grow it, what you will discover is that it is an energy, it is a force, it is a power that is truly extraordinary and will bless you with numerous unimaginable possibilities. If you want to know, Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche, who I didn't know personally, but who is, one of his teachers was also an early teacher of mine, the first person I studied Tibetan Buddhism with, Kangyur Rinpoche. Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche wrote a book called Guru Yoga. It's a small, simple book. I think it's in the bookstore. That can explain to you a little bit about it. The way we practice is we practice the way we do, first of all, because we don't separate the idea of inner and outer. They exist on a continuum, not as a separation. And the second thing is because we believe that the energy field of the teacher, and all of the blessings of the entire lineage can be transmitted lovingly through the practice that we do.